I'm your host, Alec Crawford, founder and CEO of Artificial Intelligence Risk Inc., and this is AI Risk Reward, a podcast about balancing the risk and reward of using AI personally, professionally, and as a large organization. We will discuss hot topics such as, will AI take my job or make it better? When I ask ChatGPT work questions, is that even safe? From an ethical perspective, is it enough for big companies to anonymize private data before using it? Probably not. I'm discussing these issues with AI experts to answer burning questions and stay ahead of the curve on AI. I'd also like to give a shout out to our podcast producer and audio engineering team at Troutman Street Audio. You can check them out on LinkedIn. Welcome everyone to the AI Risk Reward Podcast. This is your host, Alec Crawford, and our special guest today is Manuj Aggarwal, founder and chief innovation officer at TetraNoodle Technologies. Welcome, Manuj.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Well, first of all, you're working on some amazing tech, but your backstory is pretty amazing too. Tell the audience how you arrived in Canada.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a small town in northern India, and it was kind of a rough beginning. Not a lot of opportunities, employment opportunities or education opportunities. And through a series of events, I enrolled in a local community college, and during the first 3 months, I fell in wrong company, started doing some drugs and things like that. And I dropped out of college in the first 3 months. So after that, I was trying to figure out, okay, what to do with my life. And computers were just coming out. In a small town back then, like it was about 5 to 10 years behind the world. So I had not seen a computer back in 1994, 95, and definitely no internet. So I thought, this is pretty cool. Like I'm an introvert. Let me try my hands on this. And so I enrolled in a computer institute. The first year I tried, I didn't have enough money for the fees. So I went back, like did some shady work, collected some money and went back. And then that's where I met my girlfriend and future wife. And she was actually born in Canada. She was a Canadian. So long story short, I met her in a computer institute, found my career, found my love, and then I followed her to Canada.
Wow, that's amazing. So cool.
Yeah.
So you end up in Canada, you show up with one suitcase in Canada. Tell us about your career journey, before you started TetraNoodle.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting. I landed in 1998. So people who are old enough to know, that was the dot-com boom time. And technology companies were just going like crazy, just like right now, AI companies are going crazy right now. And so, getting a job was not that difficult. I was already in technology. But also what happened was around late 2000, the dot-com bust happened as well. So I lost 4 jobs in 2 years. Nobody wanted to talk about technology. Nobody was hiring. So I was like, I left India thinking that, okay, I'll have a brighter future and, job security in North America. But I realized very soon that there's no such thing as job security, no matter where you are. And so that sort of forced me into entrepreneurship. Rather than, looking for a safe paycheck, I started helping other people who wanted to build technology products and didn't know how to build it. So I started working with many startups, helped them build their products, bring it to market. And then I actually ended up working with probably hundreds of founders. 2 of those companies are now public companies. I got into AI back in 2005, started also, apart from startup, I started working with companies like Microsoft, IBM, T-Mobile. So I saw, how like flimsy and scrappy startups get their start. And then also how global corporations with like billions and billions of dollars, how do they function? I got a range of experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. And through your journey, has there been a particular mentor or key figure that's helped you?
Oh, many, many, many. I think none of us, we can actually, accomplish much on our own. all the lessons come from other people who have walked the path. One of my greatest mentors, his name is Steve Sims. He sadly passed away this year due to cancer. But he has had so much impact on so many people. Definitely on my life. He changed it in many ways because he was very kind of like very direct and in your face person. So he did not sugarcoat things, but he had so much wisdom, a lot of wisdom. He has worked with many billionaires, even the Pope. So he was a very colorful, very energetic personality, and he taught me how to be unapologetic and show up as you are, and be okay with rejection, and be be in your power and ask for things. That's one of the things that he always said. If you never ask, you will never get.
Yeah. Well, that's that there's a saying on Wall Street is you have to ask for the order.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't ask for the order, no one's ever going to give it to you.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier and you brought up a book with, that's virtually one of my neighbors, by Ray Dalio, Principles. So tell us a little bit about the book. Pitch the audience on the book and why it's important to you.
Yeah. So, with my work with data and AI and understanding neuroscience and psychology, one of the key epiphanies I had very late in my career was not everybody's the same. I come from an engineering background. So I used to think, everybody's logical, everybody's kind of like, they understand how the world works, black and white. And that's what my mindset was. But I realized that we all come from different backgrounds, different way of thinking, different strengths and weaknesses. And then I came across this guy called Ray Dalio, who's one of the most successful hedge fund managers. And he actually implemented a system in his company where when he hired somebody, he actually started to measure their strengths and weaknesses. And he used to assign these ratings to each person, like a hockey card, like in a sports teams, you have like stats on each player, what are they good at and what not. So he actually implemented that system in his company. And, it was unusual because in corporate environment, people are kind of like sensitive about how to approach it. But he was like radical in his approach in how he hired people. And so he has laid down his entire framework of how he manages people, how he hires people, how he evaluates people, how he promotes people, how basically his company, I think Bridgewater, how it runs. And it is all like a manual of humanity in his book. So that's what Principles is all about. When you learn his method, when you understand it, you see the world in a very different way. You start to understand people at a very, very deep level. And so I highly recommend, if you are into that stuff, like if you really want to understand people, look into that book.
Yeah, fascinating. And look, your career has spanned over 30 years in AI. You've scaled a startup to an IPO in 5 years. I'm sure you got some great stories. Tell us a great story about that.
Yeah, well, a lot of great stories. I think the thing about scaling and success is that most people think that there is a blueprint that you need to follow, but there is no blueprint other than just stepping, keep on going, one step after the other. And I think the key is to find people who are as passionate about what you are trying to do as you are. How can I so the story, one of the stories was we were working on this mega project, project for Pearson Education, which is a global company, and they are very big in textbooks for schools and universities. And so we scaled this startup from zero to $400 million annual revenue in 5 years. And we had millions and millions of users. And, it became a point where AI this was around 2005, 2006. Like, we started collecting so much data about how students learn, how they fall off the radar. Some students need to be disciplined. Some are exceptionally good, all of that, right? So we started seeing how learning happens in schools. And then we started thinking, okay, how can technology actually help people to equalize, to level the the learning ground field, and help those students who need additional help, and help the ones that are already ahead to move ahead and realize their full potential. Because in classrooms, what happens is like every student gets the same curriculum, irrespective of where they are. So that was the first use of AI we did, where we actually created a patented technology that can actually understand the level of each student and then personalize the curriculum for each student in the same classroom based on their level of understanding of the subject. And that was a very, very profound moment for me to realize that technology is so advanced now, it can understand humans better than humans can understand ourselves.
Wow, that is amazing. So that's a great segue into the origin story of TetraNoodle. Love to hear about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the entrepreneurship journey, as I told you, started around 2001. So the company has been around for 25 years. Now,
Wow.
when I started it, I'm not a marketing guy or somebody who understands marketing or branding. So back then it used to be called Spider Communications because of the
Okay.
World Wide Web. And I thought that was a clever name until in 2010, people started saying, oh, what is this Spider Communication? Like, do you guys install phones or something like that? So I said, okay, it's time to change the name. And the focus also started shifting towards what I will share now. So around 2012, I had quite a few negative experiences in my personal life, and I became suicidal and depressed. And I was trying to get out of that funk, and I went to therapists and psychologists and things like that, but nothing helped. So finally, I discovered meditation, and through meditation, I started to learn about my own mind and neuroscience and psychology, and understood how we create our own life. And I got so much relief and so much energy, positive energy through that I wanted to share with others. And most of the time when I talked about meditation, people said, I don't have time, or my mind cannot sit still. And then due to my knowledge of data and AI, I also understand how AI and the mind interact with each other. And so our worldview, you talk to any person on this planet, our worldview is not our own worldview. It's the worldview that has been shaped by algorithms around us. Okay. So if you understand how this world is shaped already, we are in the midst, we are floating in the ocean of AI algorithms. All the news items, all the ads, all social media, it's carefully crafted. Now, it's the algorithms have been fine-tuned to create sensationalism so that the end goal is more clicks, more revenue. And this is, you can say it's nefarious or whatever, but I'm an engineer myself, so I know the intention is not to harm people, but to just optimize for a certain outcome. Okay. Now, when I look at technology, technology is always neutral. So you can, use a car to go to the grocery store or run somebody over. It's your choice. So when I look at technology, you can use technology to sensationalize people or unlock their hidden power. So that work became TetraNoodle, where we merge the power of subconscious mind with AI and create a super intelligent version of the mind. And that works at an individual level, at a team level, at an organizational level. And what that does is, you may have heard of this saying that we only access 10% of our minds. So what happens with the rest of the 90%? That's where our subconscious mind lives. So with AI, you can start to use it as a reflection of your consciousness and start tapping into that 90% of the mind. And that's the work that we do.
Very cool. Very cool. So Give us an example of that. Like is this, if a company came to you and said, Manuj, this sounds amazing, we're going to implement it across the entire company, like what would you do?
Yeah. So first thing first, right? We create a digital twin of the executives, because if we work with a corporation, the direction of the company is determined by where the leadership wants to take it. Now, that actually happens in most companies, but what happens is that in a boardroom, people will have multiple priorities, multiple backgrounds, as we were talking earlier. And there is a subtle, invisible force that controls the decision making. How does the overall mission of the company aligns with the personal mission? And our logical mind is always at conflict. Should I put my self-interest first or the organization? But when we create a digital twin, it actually is super intelligent enough to understand the goals of each person. Meaning, somebody wants to retire their mom. Somebody wants to send their kids to Ivy League university. Somebody wants to travel the world. That is their personal mission. How does it align with the company's mission? It's very difficult to come up with that alignment. But with a digital twin, which is super intelligent, and today AI has basically a PhD level knowledge of every topic out there. So this digital twin becomes an executive in their executive board. Now it can help make optimal decisions that are aligned with not only the corporation, but every executive. Now, the next level is, even today, if you have a mature company, you'll have a vision statement, mission statement, and all of that, right? But what happens is it stops there at the top level, at the managerial level, at the frontline level. People are making decisions on everyday basis. They have a little bit of an inkling where the company is going, but not really. So what happens is, with this digital mind, you can start to flow that decision making into your organization in such a way that small, large, medium size, any decisions can now be made in line with your mission. You can say, hey, I'm entering this deal with this customer. This is their profile. Do you think their profile matches our company mission? Advise me on that. I want to invest some money in this new project. Is this aligned with our mission or not? So when you start to do this, everybody's rowing in the same direction with the same force, and that's when human potential starts to get unleashed.
And now a word from our sponsor. Artificial Intelligence Risk Inc. accelerates adoption of GenAI safely. They provide the governance, risk, compliance, and cybersecurity platform that financial, healthcare, and other regulated organizations need before they can use GenAI safely and in compliance with regulatory requirements. Their software has won #1 awards for cybersecurity and compliance from Waters Technology. Find them at aicrisk.com. Super exciting. Now, you've also mentioned before that AI shouldn't replace humans, but empower them. So as soon as you go to the executives, other people say, hey, we're creating your digital twin. That sounds kind of like replacement. So how do you coach executive teams and companies in terms of how do you message AI adoption so people don't get scared?
Sure. Very, very important point. You see, AI is all historical data. It's based on historical data. Okay. So historical data has a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge in it, but creativity is in the realm of human soul. AI cannot imagine and say, you know what, it will be interesting to build a cool company or a cool product or a cool service or whatever. It has no vested interest in that, right? So the direction of the creativity and understanding what does the world need, what are the problems in the world, that's the realm of humanity. Okay. Now, what will happen is, if people start to utilize this technology appropriately, as I have described, in harmony with humans, their output level, their capacity to produce multiplies exponentially. Okay. So now the decision is up to an individual whether you want to utilize that exponential capacity to produce exponentially faster and bigger and better, or you also have the ability or the choice to take that extra ability and relax a little bit and take more time towards what is meaningful to you.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's great. So, in terms of other kind of philosophical questions about AI, look, you're using it every day. You're talking to companies. You're merging the subconscious with to create with AI to create super intelligent AI. What concerns you about AI over the next 10 years?
You know, I think there is going to be quite a bit of disruption, and humans are not really good at accepting change, especially change that happens so fast and so drastic. So I'm worried about how countries around the world, how leadership around the world is going to be able to handle this disruption and manage it in such a way that does not cause social unrest.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously there are other factors like, the good guys are going to use this technology as well as the bad guys are going to use this technology. So, you can do a lot of good with this technology and you can do a lot of bad with this technology. So those are the obvious challenges, right? But the main thing is, if people start to use it as just a tool outside of their own consciousness, own psychology, then it becomes a tool that can do harm not only to the world but themselves. But once they start to internalize, so think about it this way, right? Every other invention so far in human history has been to enhance our physical abilities. Like, the crane can help us lift a heavier weight and the car can help us go faster. Now, when you sit in the car, you become a part of the car, because it's not like car is going 60 miles an hour and you are running behind it. It is taking you along with it. So think about it this way: AI has to be kind of an addition to your mind so that you can interact with it as part of you. But if you don't do that, it will actually start to mess with your mind.
Yeah. Well, we're already seeing, kids just asking, ChatGPT on their phone and doing what it says and assuming it's correct. And yeah, definitely just the way we have to coach people about internet security and back in the day, warn kids about social media and things like that. It's going to be the same with AI. AI is great, but, you got to also be careful because we're still getting hallucinations and wrong answers. And they're definitely, I remember people asking the question 20 years ago, is Google making us stupid?
Yeah.
Right? And now is AI making us stupid? And the answer is yes, in some cases, if you're just handing everything over to AI and not thinking, yeah, it's making you stupid.
Yeah.
So pivoting to our next section on our advice section, look, you've been heavily involved in AI, been a founder. What advice would you offer to founders of startups? Maybe let's focus on technology startups or AI startups today. What should they be doing?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I don't think you should look at what problems exist today. Try to imagine the world where, manual labor and intelligence is a commodity. Because robotics and AI are going to commoditize what we feel are precious resources from humans. Okay, so focus on so let's say everybody gets to choose how much they want to work. And Finland actually, just recently, from what I know, they actually announced 4-day work week with 6 hours working day.
Wow.
Okay. So imagine this continues to shrink and people have a ability to make the same amount of money with couple of hours of work in a week. So what will they do? Right? So they will actually start to go into more creative aspects, music and art and poetry. Now, people may laugh at this and it's like, oh, how are you going to make money out of this? But these things have happened in the past. If you go and look at history, 1500s, European Renaissance, the creatives, the poets, the musicians, the painters, they were at the top of the society. So this is not new. Now, industrialization forced us into a 40-hour work week and all that. But as we start to move towards automation, human creativity will be unleashed. So focus on these type of aspects, and then you have a unique ability to tap into whatever gifts you have, and you can start sharing that with other humans who will want to, experience the similar gift that you bring to the table. And then you will be safeguarding your startup from giants like Microsoft or OpenAI, because otherwise what I'm noticing is people are looking at current small problems and they are putting a wrapper on top of it, what OpenAI is providing. And one feature from OpenAI is going to wipe out 90% of the startup.
Yeah. Totally fair. All right. So our last section is the lightning round, where I ask you, or I mention various things and ask if you think they're underrated or overrated and why. So let's kick it off with, since you live in Vancouver, restaurants in Vancouver, underrated or overrated?
Interesting question. I will say underrated. It's pretty clean, it's I've had no problems ever, and it's very clean wherever I go. Yeah.
That's great. Is there good Northern Indian food in Vancouver or no?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge Indian community. There's a suburb called Surrey. I actually go there. It's like an hour drive if I want really authentic Indian food.
Awesome. That sounds great. How about travel as fuel for creativity? Underrated or overrated?
Highly underrated. Like, I can tell you one thing about this whole, it is related to AI. The more knowledge you have about humanity, the various shades of humanity, various cultures, various ways how people solve problems, the more you are going to flourish in the age of AI. Because remember what I said earlier, the human curiosity and human spirit is going to be unleashed. And if you understand the world at a deeper level, you will have a huge advantage.
Data privacy in the age of AI, underrated or overrated?
Highly overrated in my opinion, because most people who complain about data privacy do not really understand what they are talking about. Because I'll give you a quick example. The person who is always concerned about privacy and security, they will be happily plugging in their laptop into Starbucks Wi-Fi or airport Wi-Fi, not knowing that every ounce of information is being sucked by an anonymous source. And, that's the gap people have.
Yeah. I think that's a lack of understanding. That's absolutely true. How about Ben Hardy as a writer? He wrote Your Ideal Future, 10X.
Yeah, he's great. Like, I think the 10X book is very popular, and it actually opens up minds for people, which is, again, very relevant in this age. Because most people think about growth and they say, oh, I'm here and I just want to double myself. And doubling your growth, whether that's business, profession, whatever that is not easy, but it is possible. But if you think, I want to 10x my business, that's actually better, easier, faster, and absolutely essential with the age of AI. Because if you're only thinking 2x, the next person is thinking 100x. You're not going to be able to compete.
Yeah, totally. Great advice. How about the Vancouver coffee culture? Underrated or overrated?
I think overrated. Coffee, I think Starbucks, in my opinion, like has created this hyped version of coffee culture. Of the, it just enormously expensive, but they charge for experience, and people like it. But from growing up in a third world country, I think these are beverages which everyday person should be able to enjoy. So
yeah, whatever happened to the under $1 cup of coffee, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How about hiking as a hobby? Underrated or overrated?
I think underrated again. Like once again, it's all related to how this world is going to be transformed, because we have started living in concrete jungles. We were not built for this kind of living. We evolved to live among trees, among nature, and as time becomes more available, as we start to take control of our lives, I think people will gravitate towards going into nature more. And if you don't actually start doing it, and it actually will start impacting your life in such a way that nature will start to give you more time.
Using AI to plan vacations, underrated
Absolutely.
or overrated?
Underrated. I think underrated. Like I love travel, and it's a funny story. Like, I have teenage boys, and I'm always trying to convince them to go with me travel, and also convincing them to use AI. So the last vacation we were trying, I actually said, hey, let's ask AI to suggest where to go. And then we sort of had a discussion with AI, and it actually helped us plan the vacation.
Oh, cool.
Well, plus, yeah.
That's fun. Multi-day meditation retreats where you don't speak for the entire duration of the retreat.
Yeah.
Underrated or overrated?
Have you done it? Like, I haven't done it. I have done other retreats, multi-day retreats. I think highly underrated. We the thing that I find in most people is they are running towards something. They want something. When I ask them, what is the end goal? Like, if, you want to make $1 million, you want to do this, what after that? And most people have no answer, because they don't know who they are inside. And so when you go to these retreats, silent retreats, other type of meditation retreats, you find yourself, and then you understand what is it that you truly want. It may not be the $1 million. It may be just going to a hike and sitting there quietly for one hour, and that's your $1 million. So understanding yourself is the key, and these retreats are the portal for that.
I knew someone who would leave work at 4 p.m. to go surfing. And, he wasn't in a big job or anything. He would say, I'm going to go have $1 million worth of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So next one is quantum cryptography, underrated or overrated?
Underrated. Most people don't, like, if AI is, if the internet, the smartphone, AI is kind of like, revolutionizing our world, people do not even have an inkling of what quantum is going to do and what it is about. Quantum is actually going to weave humanity into the fabric of universe. The universe doesn't have zeros or ones. Universe is a combination of probabilities which materialize based on the conditions. And these probabilities act at a quantum level, at a subatomic level, and at a macro level, So if there is a chance that humanity is going to invent time travel, it is going to be through quantum computing. It's like, it's very difficult to explain the phenomena, but once you start to understand it a little bit, I can't even go, imagine the kind of stuff that it will make possible.
And then finally, the movie Arrival, underrated or overrated?
Very underrated if you get the message, because the key message there is that so the storyline, without spoiling it, the aliens visit the planet, And the key message is humanity needs to come together to survive.
Yeah. Totally makes sense. It's a fascinating story about how when Reagan met Gorbachev one time, they agreed almost like a joke that if aliens invaded the planet, that the two armies would join together to fight the aliens, which is kind of funny, actually. And so, but they literally had an agreement.
Yeah.
So,
and imagine just at the individual level, what will it mean? Let's say aliens showed up like tomorrow. What will it mean for all the belief systems that we have carried for centuries at an individual level as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a defining moment for humanity for sure. As will the invention of AI superintelligence, a defining moment for humanity. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show. This has been Manuj Aggarwal, founder and chief innovation officer at TetraNoodle Technologies. Awesome show. Thank you, Manuj.
Thank you.
You are listening to the AI Risk Reward podcast with your host, Alec Crawford. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, for example, Apple Podcasts. Production and sound engineering by Troutman Street Audio. You can find them on LinkedIn. Please like, subscribe, and comment.